Hello, beautiful beloveds. It is Sundari, the Alchemist of Light, also known as Marci Lock Mentor, here on the Awakened Being Conversations to Create Change, another Marci on Medicine series, as I'm with a beautiful beloved named Elizabeth, who we're really diving into and sharing the codes of liberation. This is such a powerful, potent transmission, so I'm so excited for you to receive and to be on this sacred journey together, my loves. So if you are ready for your fucking liberation, my loves, then there's many resources to support you in whatever healing, expansion, awakening, activation that your soul is really requiring and desiring for you to be able to pay attention to. So I really invite you to go to marcilock.com and get access to our free gift that starts giving you some trainings in this guidance and being able to step into that sovereignty and to be able to access your liberation. And if there's any area of life that you're experiencing resistance in, it's relationships or it's money, etc., check out the programs, some of the products or activations. The Line to Manifest Mastermind Mystery School is my highest recommendation for those that are really ready for the full fucking pathway. And obviously our retreats that we talk about as well is an experiential training of this divine healing and imprinting and embodiment. So there's just plenty of things to support you and so many beautiful beloveds that continue to share. So we know that we're all here on the pathway together. So I really hope that you get so much from this transmission. And I love you. Thank you for being on the journey, and enjoy the show. Hi, beloveds. It is Sundari, the Alchemist of Light, here with such a magical light being, also known as Marci Lock Mentor, if you know me as that. We are bringing forth a sacred transmission. I feel the potency and the sacredness of this for the Awakened Being Conversations to Create Change. And this is another Marci on Medicine series. These ones are the fun ones. A little juicy, little loving. So this beloved, if you are watching on video or hearing us on audio, the beloved, the sacred beloved that I have joining me is Elizabeth, who is, when we were in Colombia together, and we've been in several experiences together now. You've come to a couple of my retreats. You've been in my Line to Manifest program 2 years, right?
Yes.
My Mastermind Mystery
Right.
School. Yeah, babes. And witnessing you in person, I was just always like, oh, like I could just see this magnificent light. And I kept getting like starlight, white witch, white angel, like you just reflect. So if you guys can see her on screen, then you know what I'm talking about. She's like this glorious beloved. That is 57 years young, which I think is such a potent, powerful piece of choosing at 57 years young to fully fucking live, to be in you've been in this journey, obviously the journey we go through with the Line to Manifest and through these retreat experiences of coming to our greatest fulfillment and our greatest liberation, our remembrance with all of life. And all that I got to witness with you, my love, holy fuck.
Yes, fuck yes.
Fuck yes, to all that. So I'm super stoked that you created some space and time to transmit with me and kind of just share some of your journey and the experiences. And you have been someone who has dove into medicine in the past, and yet then you came and did it with me. You want to, like, first off, let me give you some space to just share a bit of like what led you to this space, you know, and whatever you want to share.
Sure. Yay. I'm so excited to be here with you. And so, yeah, my journey with self-discovery, personal development, transformational work has been, 20 plus years in the making or more. I don't really remember where it started, probably my whole life, but really working at it for that long. And probably, I think it's probably 5 years ago now, I was in contact with a woman who started me on the journey with plant medicine. Yeah. And it was a beautiful experience. Learned a lot, continued to work with her and others, and then began to work on my own with medicine. Also, hadn't really gotten to the place where I was like, damn, this is it.
Yeah. Imprints done.
Done. Yeah. And not that I'm ever going to be done. I don't ever see that being, it's no completion to this journey.
Embodiment of what you were seeking. And I just remember that being, I'll fast forward just a bit. And I remember when I was, when we were getting curious as who got to be in these very sacred spots, for like Colombia being the first experience. And then as you came to my journey to remembrance, where we worked with some others, you were like, I've had all these experiences, but it's just like, it's been like, you know, like there like hasn't been this, I'm you, there was like a still seeking for you of liberation. Like I haven't, like me being my fullest expression, me being my liberation, me being in my purpose, me being in the bliss with life, all those things that maybe you've heard me talk about, right? And I'm like, I talk about God fucking and orgasmic bliss. And you guys are like, what?
No,
I don't
no, no, no,
now.
no.
You definitely have a reference for that. So, but it felt like there was still this desire, which I see most people don't realize is the underlying desire, is that fulfillment. They're seeking fulfillment and their liberation, this imprinting of their divine remembrance. Yes, we're always going to continue to expand and grow in that. I'm always expanding in that. And I fucking know, right? You know the code. I know who I am in my truth and what I am in my truth and how I serve in my truth. I am this being. So, that was kind of like, it seemed like that you were like, yeah, I've had medicine experiences, which I think is important to talk about, because so many people that don't really, you know, have either had an okay experience like you and don't really realize what else is available, how to actually work with it to click in those codes, or they've had traumatic experiences, which we know not having the right formula to work with. So is that really where you felt like you were kind of at with it, is that you'd had that experience as far as medicine wise goes, and you were deeply on the self, you know, empowerment path?
Yes, for sure. So I think that as beautiful and wonderful as some of the experiences had been before, there was still this, well, for me, I know one of the things that I went into Colombia with was one of my intentions was to embody all that I know, like, and the medicine, like that, not having it be an intellectual pursuit any longer, not having it be somewhere outside of me, but to actually like physically bring it in and make it who I am and release so many of the blocks that some of them I didn't even know that were there. And, you know, wherever they come from, the core wounding, the past traumas, and many of them that I never even felt like I needed to name, but that I've moved through and released in the work with you. And I mean, from the curating the spaces to the coding it all in such an incredible way, in the purity of the medicine and the people that you choose to work with, and the way that you work with the energy during the medicine, the way that you teach us to work with it. I mean, you can't work with my energy any more than I'm going to let you, but yeah, like teaching us how to work with the energy, and then the integration afterwards, being able to, like, you know, hey,
integrate it into your life. All pieces. So that
really,
you felt like you hadn't really received before, and that a lot of people will go to medicine and it's like, show up at the place, here you go, we're going to sing to you and here's the medicine, and then go home. And maybe there's some like fluffy experiences in between, like drumming on some drums and doing a few things and some little, you know, under the full moon, blah, 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 and which is all beautiful. And it doesn't necessarily prepare you to what I love that you said is, and is such an important piece. We know we start preparing a couple months before, looking at your unconscious commitments, looking at how to process things, looking how to work with energy, looking, you know, moving with the medicine, as well as detoxifying the body, preparing the body vessel. And I always say all the things that you're humanly aware of are going to come up now and be coming up, that we're starting to move this through, that when you're working in this sacred space, the things that you don't even know fucking exist, that are actually the core underlying to a lot of these things, as well as the things that are just in the body vessel, are now accessed because we've done a lot of prep work. And it's not this, okay, we'll go in and we'll just scratch the surface. We're going fucking layer, 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 layer. And you come out going, I'm fucking imprinted. And then you get to take those visions and those messages, which is also a piece so many people miss, because you've heard me talk about 85%, at least 85% of what you receive as far as the visions and the messages and the clarity gets distorted by the ego. And so it's like, I got this message, but I can't do this because of this. And the mind distorts it, and we deflect what's there. And then there's no change. People go back and like, you had great experiences, but there wasn't this integration, this knowing, this imprinting within your soul of like this remembrance, this knowing of who you are.
Right. Well, two things that you said that stand out so clearly for me are this emotional access point that the medicine helps you get to, but if you haven't prepared and you don't know what to do with it afterwards, It was a lovely experience. Thank you very much.
Right. And it can just be confusing for people when they think that they have to go back and work with medicine more, which isn't necessarily always the case, to just, but then they still never know what to do with it. Right. Yeah.
Right. And the second thing is that imprinting is that in that's tied very closely for me, I guess, with the embodiment piece, but so I've had expansive experiences, but then, like you said, then you come back and then there's life. And then, what do you do with that? Like I remember, and it's beautiful. And it's made a huge impact on me. However, the difference in what's actually available is quantum from what I thought was actually available. And it was pretty cool before, but this is like, we talk about multidimensionality, and though I'm a completely multidimensional being, this just took me to from my universe to the multiverse.
Yep.
It's really people that I know that have done medicine, that have talked about medicine, that have been around medicine. I look at now and I think beautiful and wonderful for you, but if you only knew what else was available, and I'm sure that there's always more. I know that what's still to come is even beyond what I know now. And I think that the way that you have things set up in your retreats, the way that you prepare for them, the way that you follow up afterwards, all of the things that you do during them have such an incredible impact. That's just above and beyond anything else that I've seen or pretty much ever heard of. So it really,
see that. I know. And this is why, is why it's also a passion for me right now to, because I see it as a big part of birthing our new earth, in that this is a pathway to evolving our consciousness. Not to say that this is the only way, but it is, for me, it was the quantum leaper. The experiences that we have where we go multiple layers and we do all the formula that I love to teach, is that this is how we can have these massive shifts and these quantum leaps into a higher level of consciousness and attunement and frequency. And then we get to integrate that into our patterns, our behaviors, the way we see life, all that truth being the embodiment that we operate from. And I'm like, this is a big piece to us, embodying and creating this new earth. I'm going to live in fucking new earth, and I already am now. And I'm already in my heaven. And I'm also here for all my beloveds in humanity that are my family, because I am oneness and unity and wholeness with all things. And everyone that experiences bliss, I experience more bliss, hence I can watch you go into, and I'm like, you had some sacred, cool experiences of, between you seeing me fuck a tree, which I know that sounds woo-woo fuck for people.
And you've seen me fuck a tree
now too. Yeah, and the next retreat, right? You I got it. I expanded into the orgasmic bliss of all the energy. And we were saying you weren't you were just receiving the energy essence from this tree. And I just remember in Colombia, I went into this whole orgasmic bliss with this sacred tree and receiving its essence and this orgasmic yumminess and juiciness from the earth, and was just in this full, and then I turned around and you were just watching me and
so glorious,
so good. That tree, we just have some good loving, so good, and
so then glorious.
To really access that, I want to drop back just a bit into something that I feel like is also powerful and potent is, this is why we're very selective on who comes into the space and when people are ready for the space. Medicine and sacred sacraments have always been a piece of what I do, yet a lot of people didn't even know, or, there's just that it's one piece of what I do. Hence why I see, the new calling of also creating a way and a pathway for people to become the awakened, embodied healer themselves, to be their own healer, embodied in that. And that so many people that do play in these realms get to have a greater access point of knowing how to work with the energy in the medicine, not just show up, here it is, play some music, like I said, and go home. That there's so many more pieces to this. And yet I also, when we are communicating with people and someone might just be like, oh, I'm called to it. It's well, where are you at in your I just want to say your pathway of consciousness? because this is why we have, I mean, I've even been like with Cami, my head assistant VP that's been with me for like 13 years. It's like, you know, maybe we get to make Align to Manifest a prerequisite, because there's also such a difference I see in like you and like the group that, well, you came with a group that was like half and half. Some people had, you know, just read my
That's
book,
right.
and, you know, we have them go through certain things to prepare them to be able to go into that space. Yet those of you that had been in Align to Manifest and gone through this 1 year portal, and some of you even 2 years of aligning with the new human of the new earth in all aspects of life, all the human, all the multidimensionality, you guys had such a greater access point. And so I also want to just encourage people that, you know, it's like you had been diving into the self-empowerment world, like you said, for 20 some odd years. You
Mm-hmm.
said 5 years ago is when then the medicine came into your world. It still was kind of like,
Right.
oh, that was light and fluffy and fun and
Right.
pretty and all that. And then you got, you know, I even remember the even with all the journey that you've done, like you said, there were some deep things that you were like, I'm ready to release this, as they were part of our intentions and our coding in what we got to release and receive. And then, as you said, even traumas and things within the system that you didn't even know existed. And so it's also, I feel very important for people to not just see this as like, oh, I've got trauma and shit, I'm just going to go do medicine because they're saying medicine. It's like, there is, let's, you know, it's important for me. And this is why a part of all my programs and things, I like life being so fucking easy for me. I'm all about ease and grace and flow. And I found, you know, for me, that's why there's prerequisites, and that people actually are going through, you know, my unconscious commitments and the 5 steps, and they're learning how to process and move things. That it's, we're not just like, hey, you show up and, you know, hope that this takes care of it. You got to learn to actually work with your consciousness and be
Sure.
work with the energy and the traumas and the different things. So really, that wherever people are at, that's like, start at least on the path of looking at what isn't serving and working in your life, and moving through and working through those things before it's just like medicine isn't just like, I'm going to run and do that. Like you said, you can run to those experiences, but if you don't actually know how to play with the energy of all the shadow and all the light and all
Right.
the things that come up, you don't know what to do with it.
Right.
And I'm passionate about creating a way that, you know, people have more of the awareness and understanding to be able to go through these processes, whether they're coming with me or not. We're actually creating a like retreat system to support people and support beloveds like you that are the embodied healers that can take people through these processes in the right way. And yet it's not just you didn't just like, oh, okay, I want to become healed, I'm just going to run off and do medicine. You've done a journey of internal play to be able to do this. And it doesn't mean that someone has to be really evolved on the pathway. I've had people that are really new to the spiritual path, yet there's not just like, what's this method thing? I'm gonna go out and do this. Like, no, I'd say start with moving through, learning to process and move energy and work on your evolution, that can support you in that quantum leap into more. And I don't know if you have a feedback on that.
No, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think that
No or yes?
um, yes, I totally agree with what you're saying. And I, being the parent of 2 children, one of which is a female 18-year-old
Yeah.
who has many friends that play with medicine.
Mhm.
That's all it is for them, is to play. They have no reference point for what we're doing. They have no reference point for the benefits that it can create in their life. Now she does, because she's my daughter and she's been around me her whole
Yeah.
life. So she has more understanding of that.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many people in the world that do try to go to medicine to fix it all without any basis for what that looks like, or how to move the energy, or what to do with it, or where they're even trying to get. And
Yeah.
so I think that it's really important that you have some kind of a foundation of
Yeah.
spirituality and um, idea of human evolution, and
Mhm.
even on your own path, not, just as an individual, like, what are you becoming? Where do you want to go? Why do you want to go? What's
Yeah.
wrong with where you are? Like seeing just that there is a path, and
Yeah.
not just, boom, this one thing is going to fix me, because I can tell you that
Yeah.
not that's not the case from
Yeah.
times that I've done it in the past.
Well, and that's why it's beautiful that you even bring in the reference of, this is why I don't do I mean, like, oh, this is what I do. What I do. See how we catch our little micros? What I
Yeah.
do. Just I'm like, yeah, no, or yes, this is the awareness that I have on the little micros of all the
Mhm.
energy at play, right? And I mean, I don't know that I've really shared this much in my pathway of it, but like I was scared to death of drugs. And again, the label that they created, because I saw my brother struggle with it in high school. My mom, struggled to barely get into graduate. My dad had passed at, when I was 15, and I just saw this, like how it just ran his life. And
Mhm.
I was like, I mean, I drank maybe twice, had alcohol maybe twice when I was a teenager, never did anything. And because there was this terror of it. And
Right.
so then when I was called on my journey to go to Colombia for the first time and work with my sacred teachers and experience grandmother ayahuasca, and then to hear people refer to it as, like for me, I won't go into the story in depth, but it's like I was like, this is sacred sacrament. And to learn the truth about what
Mhm.
was available, that here a lot of people, even if they're open more to these other labels that you would use versus drugs, is
Right.
it's a like 99.9% of what's out there is an illusion
Right.
again, and a lot of it feels and is true for people because of their experiences in it that have not been this aligned pathway. So hence it's like, oh, and what I hear so many times is I was in California, and getting asked a lot of questions about just some of these sacred experiences and retreats and whatnot. And a dear friend was like, he's like, yeah, I'd actually never done it, and a bunch of my friends hadn't done it. So he's like, we just decided to all get together. And I was just, he's like, he's like, we actually asked this shaman friend that, hey, would you hold space? He's like, I'm not going to hold space for 20 of you that have, and he's like, so we just did it. And I just, my whole body was like, bless you, beloved. And you mentioned to me an experience where even a beloved had been like, oh my gosh, I got to take all my clients through this. I got to do all this. And this is so many people will think, I'm just instantly going to turn around and do it. And this is where it can create breaking of the psyche, a lot of distortions, trading your shit with other people, unclean
Mhm.
medicine, like all those pieces to me are like, wow, we get to talk about this more. That not only do we dissolve the illusions of what's actually available in this quantum leaping expansion of your consciousness, like you said, I mean, I'd love you to share a little bit more of your stories of like what your experiences were, like healing traumas and the things and the imprinting you're now. And that's available. And it's available when we have all these pieces that are all potent. They're all a part of the formula. It's not, just medicine. It's like we do massive prep in allowing
Right.
you to prepare to work with it, and then how to work with it, and all the things we do during, like you said, and then the integration after. They're all pieces, and you, my love, are still fucking playing with it. You're
Oh, yeah.
still fucking expanding and playing with the medicine. It's like you can continue to have the connection and the evolution of your consciousness, the communication. That's why it's not like you have to turn around and go back. It's like when we get called to participate in more layers that we get to go into with this, just like you were in Colombia with me, and then you got to come to my next experience where we worked with 5-MeO and psilocybin and hape and a little
Mhm.
K, and you had that orgasmic God fucking that you
Mhm.
were like, this is what my divine imprinting is seeking. And it's like, it is on, babe, you with me, I got you. you know
I'm with you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's important to um be so aware of, well, so and so just did it. So, or in a group of friends, like what I was going to say, I don't do is that I don't do medicine in play for like, oh, a bunch of friends will get together. Like I'm like, nope, not gonna play with that sacred sacrament in just an open space with people trading their shit and da 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 da. Like I am very, very aware and discerning of it is sacred, and the environments I'm in, all that is so important and potent. And I did a medicine tell, I don't know if you heard it, where I finally felt like I get to talk about, if people are even considering, doesn't matter if you're not coming with me, please consider these things and allow yourself to, that you don't end up with a jacked up psyche and trauma for years, etc. Because all these things are revealed to you and you don't know what the
Mhm.
fuck to do with it. And it feels
Right.
like trauma to the system when it's just trauma trying to move through the system. And there's
Mhm.
many pieces that we bring awareness to in this, and how it just gets to be ease and grace, and we can release with ease and grace, and we can receive with ease and grace, and it doesn't have to be hard or scary. That's been my journey of learning with it too. So thanks for bringing that in, because that's the more that we bring awareness for people of like, this is what's available, and just please see this as a very sacred divine gifts we have, these tools of these spirits of evolution of our consciousness that can allow the supportive, moving of stuck on, energy, stagnation, anything that's locked within our system, our epigenetics, our DNA, to be able to be moved through, to be a lighter being, to be enlightenment, to be in light, lighter rainbow light body, flow of energy, our ability to manifest. All these things are available for us when we're, and this is a quantum leap to that when we're in alignment with working with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. I remember the first conversation that I had around doing medicine, being in with these sacred sacraments. And that's what came up for me too. It's like, I don't do drugs. What do you mean? I smoked some pot in high school. That was it. I don't, not for me. But then coming to the recognition that they are sacred, that they are a technology for our evolution, that they were put here for our use, and how beautiful and wonderful they are when they're done in alignment, as you say. Without the alignment, they can get wonky, or they can be fun, and they can be your journey, but you can't access what's available without that. Yeah.
And everything has shadow and light. And that's really what we're here to bring perspective to. I mean, just like we own all aspects of the traits of our humanity, every aspect has a shadow and a light aspect, every trait, and we get to own it all and know, oh, I get to choose how I utilize this trait to be for the light, to be for the greatest and highest good of all, to be for my highest level of expansion and experience. And it's only when I'm denying that trait exists that I haven't healed it within myself, and I'm projecting it out and just projecting out my inherited trauma and unhealed trauma, which is why we have a world of trauma. So hence, let's clear that shit up, and let's clear that awesomeness. Let's be with that awesomeness. Let's transmute it to light. So would you share, my love, like maybe some of your most potent experiences of like, so people get an idea or a reference point of what do you mean when it's like healing trauma, or finding things that you didn't even know were there, or maybe what some of your intentions were to heal or to embody, like with your liberation and your freedom and the things that you were seeking and yet hadn't quite found that connection to, or that imprinting with, and yeah, what your experience was and where you're at with it now.
Yeah, sure. Happily. I think that so several things. The first day, we were working with psilocybin, and I was, just in this beautiful, lovely cocoon and witnessing all these, the fractal patterns of light and all. And I asked the medicine, like, okay, it's beautiful, and like, what are we doing here? Like, I've seen this before. What's this about? And it was funny because they kept directing me back to it. But what they said was, this is like the movie you get to watch while we're in the background doing the work. And I was like, but I don't need to watch a movie. I came for the work. Like, let's just do the work. And they're like, no, just enjoy the bliss and the beauty, and let us do. And the experience I had was, I was expanding, and then I would be with that for a moment, and then the expansion would feel like contraction, like where I was, I didn't contract, but then I was like, oh, shed that skin, because you're going to expand some more. And like I said, there were traumas that I feel like were cleared, that I don't even know what the trauma was. I just know that I was holding it in my body. And for however long, forever in my memory, these places that felt stuck energetically, and just this expansion. And then there would be like a moment to enjoy that before there was the next level of expansion again. Oh, now that expansion feels like a contract. And it was just like cascading layers of this coming off or falling away or disappearing. And a beautiful rainbow light show going on while I was doing it, to be entertained by. And then then the next day was our 5-MeO journey. And I have to tell you, because I told you going into that psilocybin was my favorite medicine of the medicines that I've tried. I had one experience with 5-MeO in the past, and it was not there was nothing bad. It was just a light, fluffy, white cloud kind of an experience.
Mhm.
And I had really desired it, had really called me. And so then I was sort of disappointed with it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but why do
Yeah.
that again? There was nothing that I gained from that other than a few minutes of just relaxing. Um,
Yeah.
and so I had said, I love psilocybin. It's my
Mhm.
baby. And you said,
Mhm. I got it.
about to have a new favorite. And I promise you that I do have a new favorite. It was is so my multidimensionality is really awesome and cool. And it went so in other experiences, I feel like my journeys happen like in my frontal lobe, maybe, and I go out that way.
Yep.
And in this one, it was 360, I mean 360 around
Totals.
me, up, down, totals, totals, totals,
Totals.
totals.
All expansion, expansion. Yep, babe.
It was
Yep.
it was incredibly
Orgasm.
there are no human
I was,
words, but orgasmic bliss is the closest thing that our human language has for this
yeah.
experience. And I and it was beautiful. And that's not even the point. The point is coming out of it and feeling the expansion and having those codes of beauty and bliss and luxury and abundance just like
Mhm.
in me and imprinted in me and continuing to expand and connecting with you afterwards and having you say, and there's more. And I felt my soul just continue to expand into that. And it still is.
Yeah.
And I, um, just this glorious sense of liberation that came with
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
that in the next experience the following day, it was psilocybin again, and I was like, oh, but I really love five now. And then my
It played
journey,
together. It
the
collaborated.
access
Yep.
that I had
Yep.
to new levels with
Yep.
the psilocybin was beyond what I would have believed.
Yep.
And it just continued to open, and the the opening was in me
Mhm.
for my voice to be activated and
Mhm.
for my um, physical body to be like, for me to be in it first of all, and to be relaxed in it, and to be aware of all that's going on around me, and not be like trying to figure things out, and just like
Mhm.
letting go of that control and just like being it and being
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
And really just I remember at one point looking up at this tree and the wind was blowing, and it was, there was nothing left that was holding me. It was
Mm.
complete and total liberation.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I have looked for that for 57 years,
Mhm.
not being able to find that access point.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I'm back at home and I'm in real life, and my daughter's sick right now, and there's laundry to do, and then things happen, and it feels completely different
Yeah. Your
because I'm
whole
liberated.
light. Yes, babe. You
Yes.
found so many
Yes.
things. I just want to tap on before maybe if you have more that you want
Yeah,
to share.
no, sure.
One piece that I feel like is so powerful and potent is, which you maybe can reflect in that, your experience with it before, because I've had a lot of beloveds that have worked with medicine, and again they're like, like, or again, or there's trauma that we're
Right.
healing to be able to go into the right experiences. And it's so all these little tiny micros for you, I was like, it's how you take it in. And so
Mhm.
again, I was right by your side, giving you
Mhm.
direction, going through. So this is how you're going to receive it. And then this is what we're going to do with it. You did clearing, you had some clearing, then you went into full on, that's why I could see just the layers of energy and the things just
Mhm.
opening, expanding. And then you had full fucking expansion into this orgasmic cosmic bliss of all of your being. And then this whole multi-dimensional experience with me, and I just
Oh
kept
yeah.
guiding and like giving the energy. And it's like so much is available. And sometimes people can get a layer of it, and then their mind wants to come in and they want to go out. And I'm like directing you back in to like keep playing
Mhm.
with medicine, keep going the expansion. And I loved witnessing you. Oh my, it was like, what a gift, what an honor and what a gift. I feel like I have the best fucking life ever, you know, to do what I do and have the journey that I have with beloveds, but to witness that full liberation, which I knew that you were seeking, and to like imprint with orgasmic bliss with all of life. Like I am so fully worthy of all the pleasure, your voice being heard, the permission to be all of you, owning the truth of who you are, owning your power, like the fullest self-expression. And then after, because I know, and I share with you guys, obviously, that you're going to keep playing with it. It's going to keep playing in the layers when we know how to play with it. It's not just like done, experience is done. And that's why we also do hape, as you know, the night before. We clear a lot out of the way that then these layers can happen. Like the first day for you was like, oh, okay. And the next day, once we add, we go another layer, it's even deeper. And the next day, even deeper. And then I saw you just, it was like, I think 95% of the time, at least, after that point, you were always in orgasmic God fucking, like everything from being in our meal. And again, I these encodings that I again, have never seen anyone else do, but I've learned through the medicine of this is the time and the imprinting to imprint these codes. And as I'm like, we're accessing our pleasure codes to be able to be in the pleasure and lovership with all of life, from every breath you take to that you're eating, to looking at the tree, to like experiencing beloved, to that you can imprint this, that you go home and you're like, ooh, life is beautiful. And oh, there's laundry to play with and this. And it's like, I'm not ever lacking. There's never any lack. I'm never in separation. There's nothing ever missing. I'm always whole, and I'm always in choice, and I'm always experiencing the magic, the bliss, the God, goddess, the goo in between of all of life, always. And I don't know that I've ever seen someone capture it and imprint it with it the way that you did once you had that experience. And I know, I mean, you've been in my line to manifest for 2 years. You've done years of journey. You know, Columbia was, as I said, Columbia was, it was going to still be working with you, grandmother, and these like things that we did, that this would be the next anchoring in to then catapult into the next level. And it just was it's such a sacred remembrance for me of witnessing you fully and seeing you through the rest of the experience, how you were this permission slip as the following day that we had the next experiences. You know, I run around half naked most of the time, and I'm in my little fairy light Jedi priestess doing things on people with the coatings and helping them release and move things and da da da. And you were just so in your orgasmic bliss of continuing to expand. And you describe it so well as I share the way and we move and work with medicine and and energy, and that it's like, next layer. And then all of a sudden, and it just keeps going. And you went into this whole expansion. And again, being safe to be so fully expressed, which is a massive key code, that then it like sparked other individuals just went into that, you know, and it was the funnest fucking funniest. There's like, it was so hilarious, and it was so glorious and so fun. And it was such a joy to witness you imprint with that and then keep expanding. And even when you left, you're messaging me, you're like, I'm still, everything. Expanding with all of life. And I'm like, yep, medicine's going to be playing with you. And you still, now you get to integrate as you travel, as you know, are back in the family life. This is where the integration happens. And then you see all the things that you tolerated before that you didn't even pay attention to because you were at that level of frequency, and the higher attunement that you're at now, where you're like, pleasure is my norm. Bliss is my baseline. Freedom is my foundation. This is me. I am this. Then everything else gets to be brought up to that higher attunement, as you know. I mean, I think you experienced more of that coming out of Columbia, right? And like bringing your life into more alignment with that. But yeah, it was such a joy to witness you imprint that so fully.
It was largely due to your coaching through it, of course, because otherwise I would have experienced it and it would have been beautiful. But having you there saying, and there's more, imprint with this. And then actually, like, it was the permission that I needed to have all of the programming and all of the conditioning fall away in regard to how I needed to behave and who I needed to be and what was appropriate and what was not appropriate.
Whatever. All of it.
But like I had never had that freedom before. Never, I mean, I've had it my whole life, obviously, but never had the permission, never felt the permission to be able to express that fully. Because when I did come out into the yard that third day, when I like activated the field with my voice, I walked out and I was so in the magic. And the medicine just said this is coming out, and I don't even know what it sounded like, but I know there was a vocalization that happened. And then I heard a next beloved start, and then another one out there, and then
it activated that transmission, that essence, and that frequency in the field that everyone started catching and imprinting with, which is fucking awesome. Yeah. And this is why, again,
and then
space wise, is that it's so important that the space is sacred and it's protected. You see me going around and continuing to clear the space, and that then we're bringing forth that we can receive each other's light transmissions. I open portals into the 13th dimensional consciousness and bring down new sound and light codes. And so as I'm like, I have sometimes the light language that comes out, or the vocalization and the different things and the play. And it's like, you're picking up on that. And that's the encoding in the field that is your system is open for to receive. Yeah.
I had one beloved come to me afterwards, and she was like, thank you so much for that howl, which I guess that's what it sounded like to her, because it activated that in her. And then, like I said, then the next and the next, and it's you're the example for it for me, because I've watched you in these spaces, and I've like
seen me fuck a tree.
Well, but coming from where I come from, it's like, you would never make that much noise, or you would never take up that much space, or you would never what if everybody else out there, how will you affect their experience? And I mean, I'm a mom, and I'm this kind of great mother energy anyway. But to have the freedom to be like, now this is me, and this is the space I'm going to take up. And I know that there was one of our beloveds that was there that had some stuff come up around my expression.
Exactly.
And it was beautiful to witness. I mean, it wasn't in the moment. I was like, well, having your experience, I'm having mine. It was the first time in my life that I didn't stop having my fully expressed experience, because I saw someone react to it in a way that might not have been the most pleasant for them in the moment. And you worked with them and they got through it. And then after, and that evening,
of traumas that were triggered by it was perfect.
A bunch of stuff. And that evening, that same person came to me and sat next to me and said, thank you so much. I learned so much from you today. And I was like, I receive, because in my head, I did the whole, like, do I rein it in a little to make it more comfortable for them? And I didn't. I chose differently this time. And it had an impact for them to be able to work through so much of their own stuff. And it was just I was so grateful that she came and shared that with me later, because it, like, I don't need validation, but it validated the choice that I made.
Awareness. I think it gave you greater awareness of what's available when we are in our full self, even if the reflections around, or there's other people that. So I love that you bring this in as well, because we do get really clear as we're getting ready to go into the space of how you stay in your own experience, how we're aware of the energy. And also that, again, with this is why it's such a sacred space and select, there's only so many people that I work with in this space, that it is like, hey, you get to take radical responsibility for the energy that's coming through. And it is there for you to clear and to move. This is your time. This is what you're here for. And thank Goddess, God, all of it, that you chose. I am following this, and this is what's required to come forth for me, because it is your soul's curriculum. It is the higher ascension codes, and that you being that higher attunement gives the gift to everyone else. And this is why I say to people, even if, we try to be aware, like, hey, if you're in this one room space and you're about to fully express, be aware. Maybe you can step outside, because there's other people maybe fully in something else. And if it happens, it fucking happens. And it's always perfect. And it's meant to be like, if something comes up for someone else, this is such a divinely aligned sacred space, which it was, this beautiful beloved, it accessed so much in her that then I was doing, and I was working with her through, accessed so many traumas and fears, and the medicine will always reflect what is inside. So it reminds me of one of the other beloveds that, this being her first experience with these sacred sacraments that we were working with, was very much like, I don't know how to figure this one out. Again, it was kind of the first layer. It's like, and perceiving, I'm like, it's not that this is how this medicine is. It's reflecting what's within you. It's reflecting how you perceive the world. It's reflecting your, your behaviors with life, etc. So your expression was triggering for her. Again, what so many of us have been programmed in that that's too much. I mean, this is why I did a fucking show on light leaders afraid to be seen. And there's never too much in your wholeness, because we are all of it. And until we're willing to be with that within ourselves, we can't be that code, that transmission, that embodiment for someone else. So you had it for you to say, like, your intentions were to come to this full liberation of yourself, this full power of yourself, self-expression, being with all of you and all of life. It was coming through. And if you would have chose to suppress it, and this is why, again, all the things that are giving you that permission slip to be able to do it, and you chose that, that's when it imprinted. Mm-hmm. And then it also is like, and guess what? I'm not here for other people's permission. I'm here to be unapologetically expressed and discovery of my fullness and my allness. That code can only give other people permission, which it did, even those that it triggered, which is such a fucking glorious reflection of the sacred journey that it brings up for everyone. It's like, and this is why I love, and I feel so grateful and honored in getting to having had the journey that I had and being led to work, to play in such a way with all of these elements that are such great gifts, is that I'm like, it's not up to me. Yes, I bring in a lot of specific codes, as we know, the formula and all the ways that I've learned to magnify and really utilize it. And the medicine is the one you're working with. Your soul, your high self-consciousness, and the medicine are in charge, that they're your soul's in charge of bringing up what is deeply unseen, versus if we were just, we know that we do this in my breakthrough play calls and the different things on Align to Manifest. We're playing with all the things, and we're learning to transmute and all that. And yet this brings up everything within the system that our human is like, nope, I don't look at that. Not ready for that. And this sacred access to all that to get out of the way, and you to fully embrace, embody, experience it. And how has that shown up for you, coming from that and now embodying that or integrating that? How have you been playing with that level of expression and feeling of life and your fullness and your honest? I mean, you said to me, like, at 57, I'm choosing to live my full purpose now.
Yeah.
Like, so how has it been integrated into your life since then?
Well, so the main thing that came through, many multiple beautiful things that came through, but the one clear message that came through on our third journey was, I am the magic.
Yeah, you are.
I am the magic medicine woman.
Yeah.
And so that I've known forever that this medicine is inside of me, and how it would be expressed has never been clear. And I'm so grateful to you now for having a container where you're going to train a select few people to be able to do what you do in their own gifts and glory. And so that is my next step, is with you. And in just everyday life is, there's just so much more freedom. There's no, I don't have to be in control. I don't need things to be a certain way. Things are just flowing differently. And it's just, I can go into this ecstatic, orgasmic bliss in any given moment. Like I was in my morning practices this morning, and I was just like, oh, I'm back in it. I'm like, I am it. I don't have to be back in it, because it's in me, and I am that.
There's no
always that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then there's moments where it's not feeling that way in the moment. And then I can remember, and I have access to, that's who I am.
Yep. And that's you
Yeah.
integrating that it gets to be in everything, where like the norm was something else. And so then now you have a new reference point, a new imprinting with it, that it's like, oh, choice. Oh, wait, I'm not in, like, again, my baseline is bliss. So if this isn't bliss and I'm not in peace and harmony and love, what is asking for my attention right now to be healed, revealed, and loved and brought forth into a higher attunement, that you just begin to experience? Again, there's never any separation of to just feeling this flow of energy that is the lightness, that is the life force energy, that is the abundance of all of life supporting you in all these ways. And what we've seen come through is, yeah, these there's so many models of prosperity, of new earth abundance, that are just available everywhere, and for more of this to be able to come through. And so I really just I'm excited and in play with you. Yeah, see, we were already both moving our bodies, like, ooh, you feel that energy of seeing this, what feels like you accessed again the knowing of your power, the knowing of who you are, your divinity. Again, that's why I always say with so many people, it's like we come to our remembrance, we come to our wholeness, we come to us as source of our own experience, that we get to come into alignment with our divinity. And again, all parts of us are divinity, the shadow, the light, all parts of our journey. And yet when you're in this knowing of your divinity and operating with all things, when you're in contraction, it's simply going, ooh, okay, I see this aspect of me that wants I get to contract to be able to expand to even greater heights, as you described so well. And that contraction then hits to open more, expansion, contraction, it's to open more, expansion. So beloved, you are just, you are definitely, you have the codes and the ability to work and play with the energy. And it's so beautiful to witness how, even though you'd had many access points before, getting the right pieces and knowing how to work with the energy and the medicine and all these pieces, you just catapulted into what was truly available. And that is a beautiful reflection for other people to witness. Also at the beautiful time period you are in your life. I think that is such a gift. It reminded me, as I was tuning into this as well, I remember being in India, and as I was working with some enlightened masters and a reincarnated avatar at a couple times that I was in India. And I just remember in one of the places as I was on this little adventure journey on this bus, and with this group, I was invited for this little sacred experience with this ascended master. And this woman was like, I don't know her age, but she had to be like in her 60s. And she was describing to me how her entire life, she had the white picket fence in the house and did the thing that everyone thought you're supposed to do. And then her husband passed. And she's like, and I just realized I'm either just going to sit here and rot and die, or I can go experience life now. And to see her, and because I travel, as I'm traveling with myself, people are always like, are you alone? And I'm like, I'm with all this.
I'm with me.
I'm with this. And she was like, and just to see that someone even in that aspect of life could be like, I'm going to go travel, and I don't need someone else or have to play the normal pathway. And you have been dancing all over the world ever since, and playing and just all these experiences, and being like, oh, I'm here to experience life fully. And it's my time to be in my full purpose and permission. And you're continuing to just get younger and fucking more energized every day. And that's also what working with the sacred light does, is that we become more light, and so I think that you're a glorious example for so many people that could use that as an excuse and a validation. It's like, well, you're the source of your own experience. So we just get to create the experience that we want, and we all have permission to do it. So thank you for also being that permission slip.
Yeah, thank you. We do create our own reality, and I love the one that I've created. I was reviewing like some of the notes that I had taken while we were there, and the first thing that's on there is how incredibly grateful I am for this beautiful, magical, blissful life that I've created. Like, I'm worthy of this. Yeah. And I brought you into my world, and I brought my other beautiful beloveds that I've been playing with into my world. And I chose this for me because I am fucking worthy of this. And just so incredibly blessed and beyond grateful for everything that I've been able to experience, and the way that it continues to unfold, and the way that I'm going to continue to follow the energy and just watch as it continues to get better and better and better. So there's always more.
There is always more. Todos expansion. Ah,
Yeah.
whew. Is there anything else you feel called to share that feels potent for part of your experience or the journey that you'd love people to hear from you?
I just feel like this is, in the conversation in the world around this, there's so many people that are still not on board. It's still illegal in our country. There's so much stigma around it in some circles. But I feel like it's really important to recognize that this, this is our birthright.
Yeah.
This is a human rights issue, actually. Like, to keep this from people is abominable.
Yeah.
And everything's perfect and exists the way it is for a reason, but just to bring light to the fact that this
Your
is such
sovereignty,
an,
people choose, right? Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's sacred, and it's such an access point for healing and for expansion and evolution and all of the things that people say that they want, and yet they look the other way or they choose a different path. And again, bless them on their journeys, but again, so grateful that I found this path, and hoping and intending that this brings light to the subject that
Mm-hmm.
of what a beautiful, magical miracle these sacraments are,
Yeah.
and to continue to open that up to the world and the world's healing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It's I mean, right now we do go to the countries where we're able to fully play with these and knowing that
Right.
the access points and they are. And I know this is part of us standing in our sovereignty and see the legalization and the support and the awakening again of our humanity, knowing what's available and how to align to the sacred use and receiving and
Right.
expansion of that. And how, yeah, it's like how fast we want to go, beloveds. It's just like, that's why I'm like, there are this can be such a quantum leap of our experience, and it can be a quantum leap of our consciousness. And when you went through the journeys that you did with me, and yet you're living and operating in such a short time a massively different experience. And can you
Right.
imagine if so many
Yeah.
people got the support in releasing the traumas, actually
Mhm.
clearing and releasing them, and having a higher attunement and coming to this levels of consciousness and way of being with life, that then we're not projecting our inherited trauma and the traumas that we've even experienced in this life, as well as the inherited traumas. It's like that's, and I also really want to be clear in that I'm not saying that this is the only pathway. Like, this has been a piece of my journey, and it is a big piece in my quantum leaping of consciousness and experience and living the life I do. And that's why it's been a big piece that I choose to share with beloveds as they're ready for it. And there's,
Right.
I'm a Jedi at all the other aspects too, because it's like all of it. We get to be all of
Right.
it. It means we get to know how to, on a daily basis, be the source of our own experience, be the creator that chooses our perceptions and the way and our words that we're spelling into reality, and how we feel and look and view and all that's available. And it just reminds me of one of the other beloveds that was also in the experience with you. That's actually one of my personal clients. And I was on with her yesterday. She got called from the medicine to go straight to another country where her family's at, to do deep healing that she'd held on to traumas for like 25 plus
Right.
years. And as we're tuning into all the micros of the visions and the perceptions she's having, and the healing with these beloveds, and the conversations she gets to have, and the communication, and all that's been released and cleared, I'm like, these are all the pieces though of, you follow the message where it's called to go, this is what now gets to be healed. You've cleared these things, and now you get to integrate into life. So guess what? Some conversations get to be had, some other pieces get to, and it's all of it is in collaboration together. All of it is there to support you. So there's just, there's no reason why we can't continue to expand into greater and greater and more receiving. We do get to know that it's a choice to continue to expand in our joy and our bliss. And again, with ease and grace and peace and harmony, that's a choice just as much as we can say, well, I'm going to keep learning through sacrifice and struggling and hardship. And that's kind of like when you're saying, like, you see kind of the whole view and the vision of everything. It's kind of like, I'm grateful. I just continue to go back to gratitude that I was guided to and had the access points, and that, where other people aren't even aware of it or have misperceptions And so it just continue to be grateful that we've had this path, and we continue to expand in it. And we just get to also continue to share those codes and those transmissions with others. So even if someone is just listening to this and they're like, yeah, I'm not ready for that, or, you know, it hasn't been in my field of awareness, or even if they're getting curious, but to listen to you choosing the life you're living and the processes that you've gone through, the integration, to be able to say, this is what I know now. That's also such a gift for people to be like, oh, so it is possible. Because I know there was a time in my life, in just pure life of hardship, struggle, suffering, pain, and that's all I knew, that if I saw someone like, I mean, I would have thought it didn't exist. And so to see a reflection of someone saying, this is my life experience, this is how I choose to live, this is what's available, it was like, what? It's possible. And that creates the pathway of someone going, it's possible. And it also reminds me of how, I think I shared this with you, I thought this was so funny. My team had shared a video of me from, like, I don't know, it was like one of my first retreats in Mexico, like probably 7 years ago. And it was the first time I had this receiving of, like, you know, it was like, I had this Wonder Woman underwear with me for some reason. And I had a red bikini, and I woke up with this vision of, like, put on your red bikini top and your Wonder Woman underwear and go run around the jungle and get the video guy to follow you and just do this transmission. And I was like, oh, and I did. And it was like one of the first times I just played and I followed that energy. So I basically ran around the jungle laughing my ass off with this transmission that came through about going through the evolutions of good to great to my genius zone of, like, fuck yes life. And my team had just reshared it, I think, for whatever, being like, blast from the past and whatever. And this woman had messaged my team and was like, I just look at this and I think you're crazy and you're on drugs. First off, I was fully being me, this is how I am always now, because again, I've shed all the shit. And I was like, to run around in a garden, laughing and playing, being so happy with life, that seems crazy. Wow. That's where a lot of people's perceptions are at. And I just come from love and go, oh, sweetie, wow, that shares a lot with me of what's probably being the experience of life and what you're in, if it seems so crazy to be that expressed and to be that free and that liberated. And so just as you said, I was a code for you, and watching me was like, oh, and this is why I've let go of all the, like, who the fuck cares? If I'm not for you, I'm not for you. Because guess what? Those that are like watching you, at first I was triggered as fuck. And then I was like, wow, you can be that freely expressed. Okay, then I can give myself permission too, that you're not only that code now and everywhere you go and everything you experience, because you're integrating this and just being this free being that is, I'm free to express, I'm free to be seen, I'm safe to be expressed and fully seen in all of me. That is also a transmission and a frequency and a code, which the light beings are saying to me right now, remembering, I even said to you guys, how you guys here in this space, because what the portals that I open when we're in sacred ceremony, you receive these new sound and light codes. And then guess what? You give them to the rest of the world. So it's like you choosing, and I just want to bring this back to this honor and of thank you for choosing your own healing journey to be your own embodied healer, because you are the only one that can heal yourself. You are your greatest teacher. And by doing that, if that is literally changing the planet and changing the world. So we want to create a greater world for our I call my boys my greatest growth partners, my greatest teachers, our beloveds, all that. It's like we get to start by being that healing and being that freedom, that liberation, and being fully in our sovereignty. So yeah, just thank you, beloved. Thank you. Thank you. Woo.
Thank you.
Thank you for the transmission space, and beloveds. Yeah, hopefully from this, whatever came up for you is perfect. And to just take these as divine reflections to get curious about, as like, what kind of life am I living? What kind of life do I want to be experiencing? What else is actually available? Is there things that have been in your field of awareness or coming up for you that you've ignored, versus following the energy of your soul guiding you to, like, hey, beloved, this is, and it's a timeline you can choose. We can continue to choose learning in the same timeline experience, or we can fucking quantum leap into a whole other timeline shift. It doesn't have to be long or hard or a process. That's all story. It's a matter of choosing to fully be like, and this is why I'm like, I am here for my greatest fucking play. I'm here for my greatest life adventure. I'm here for luscious lovership with all of life, to be all of me, and to be in the experience of all the beloveds of all of life, like sharing their glory with me. Like, it's just fucking glorious. So in whatever you take from it, I hope, beloveds, that you can take something that you can use to support you in your life and your growth and your expansion. And yeah, and just know that beloveds like this, like Elizabeth, are on this path of serving and supporting people as well in their expansion into this. And, you know, we've got several resources and ways that you can be supported. So reach out if you're really curious and wanting support in these avenues, and just start being fully on the fucking journey, because it's glorious, right? It's glorious.
Oh, yeah, we are glorious. We are so glorious.
Yes,
Yeah, all of us.
I know everyone has attuned into this for a specific reason, for whatever message was to come of it. So again, thank you, Elizabeth, for taking the time to be here with us. And thanks for all of you guys for being with us on the journey, and especially in this conversation of the Wake and Being Conversations to Create Change, Marci on Medicine series, because hey, we're here to be the medicine. We are the medicine. You are the magic. Awesome. Love you guys.
Love you.